Hey, this is Benjamin from Eclipse IoT. Welcome to all the participants to this year's Open IoT Challenge, Open IoT Challenge 3.0. This is already the third edition. I think this is actually a first for us. This year we want to make sure that all the participants, and some of you might be joining us live today, or maybe you're watching the recording. We want to make sure that you guys have all the information you need to participate to the challenge. So first things first, it's more than 80 teams who entered. So congratulations and thank you for all the entries that you submitted. It's really great to have received some emails from us in the past few days. What we've done is announced the starter kit that we have awarded to some of you guys, like the best applications. We want to give you extra help in the form of a gift certificate, so as you can buy hardware that you that will be needed for your solution. So I think in total we awarded 17 gift certificates. So really sorry if you didn't make the cut. It was actually very hard to do the selection, and some of the people on the Hangouts today are actually some of the judges. So you can blame them, but please don't, actually, because it was really hard. It was really hard to select. If you didn't receive a gift certificate, we hope that you will still enter. We will give you all the support we can, so as you get all the help you need and all the technical assistance, all the pointers, so as you can get going on the challenge. So yeah, I wanted to clarify that, and actually I will also be sharing my screen to give you guys a quick update on what's next. So again, to make it really clear, you guys are all part of the challenge. Only a few days ago we've announced those starter kits, but in terms of timeline, that's where we are, right? If you go to the Open IoT Challenge website on iot.eclipse.org, we've announced the starter kits, and all of you guys now have a few weeks, well, basically until the end of February, to work on your project. And what does it mean to work on your project? Well, it's basically building what you said you would build. I want to stress, and we've actually indicated this a few times already in our emails. We really want you guys to be very public about what you built, right? So all the judges will be very much looking for what kind of engagement you've had with the open source community, with the IoT community. So my recommendation would be that between now and the end of February, you plan on doing something like 3 blog posts, or like if you feel more comfortable posting on Facebook or on your company's blog, whatever, but 3 kind of articles, if you will, where you would tell us your journey through your project. So first article could be something like, hey, that's the hardware I have in mind for my project, and here's what I bought, and here's how it's going to look like. Maybe you have a bunch of schematics that you want to share with us. So that could be one article, right? And maybe a few weeks later, you start assembling the solution, especially working on the software parts. So it's likely that you will go through through some code that you will need to put together to create some embedded code or some server-side kind of code. In any case, it's always great to share the knowledge and to share what you've done. Just like probably you will be using articles and stuff coming from others. I would hope that you realize that it's also good to share back and to give others a chance to learn from what you are doing, right? And so that would be, I guess, article number 2. And by the end of February, hopefully you've completed your project, or at least it's time to submit the final submission. And there, the article would be basically a recap of what you've built, where you think you've been successful, where maybe you think the technology was still lagging a bit behind, and you either because you of lack of time, or maybe lack of good technology out there. There are some areas where you wish you would have done better. Tell us that. It's really important to know all the details. If you can record a quick video, that would be great as well. And yeah, that's basically the timeline, right, for the rest of the project. So as a reminder, but it's actually pretty clear in most of your applications. So I will be very much looking forward to what you will be building. As a reminder, we really want you guys to use open source technologies. So lots of the technology you might actually find from Eclipse, and in just a few seconds I will give you a few more pointers on where and how to learn more about Eclipse IoT stuff. But there's certainly also a lot available in other communities. Like I know many of you guys want to do machine learning, big data kind of stuff. So feel free to look at what's out there coming from the likes of the Apache Foundation, or if you want to build cloud solutions, there's lots of stuff out there that you may want to be interested in. And of course, there's also the stuff coming from our sponsors, right? There might be some nice commercial solutions, commercial hardware, commercial cloud platforms built on top of Eclipse IoT technology, or just cool technology out there, and hopefully, and if you want, you may want to include that in your participation as well, right? So yeah, just before giving the floor to our sponsors and our judges who joined us today, like I said, I would like to give you just a quick pointers, a few pointers as to where to learn more about Eclipse IoT stuff, like especially if you want to use things like MQTT, or if you want to do industrial IoT kind of stuff. There's really a lot that you can get from Eclipse. So you can certainly get the support as well. Support as in, we're talking about open source projects, all right? So what does support mean? Well, there are forums, there are mailing lists, and there are people that you can try and engage to get help if you're stuck, right? So learning more about Eclipse IoT projects. So there's lots of literature online. Like if you search for Eclipse IoT for the Virtual IoT meetup, for example, Virtual IoT is an online meetup group where every other week we do webinars around open source technology for IoT. There are many Eclipse IoT projects have been presented in the past, so you can find like interactive presentations there. If you're interested like more by the projects, one starting point would be this web page. So I don't think do you guys see my address bar? Yes, you do. So that would be iot.eclipse.org/projects, and there's the list of 27 plus open source projects that you can use for your solution. So if you're interested in open standards, like I said, maybe MQTT, well, look at Eclipse Paho or Eclipse Mosquito if you don't know them already. If you want to do CoAP, there's Californium, there's Leshan for lightweight M2M. The 1M2M standard is implemented in Eclipse OM2M. And well, there's really a lot about around open standards. Actually, scrolling down the list just to make sure that I mention things like Eclipse 40ac or Eclipse Rise V2G. If you're interested in doing industrial automation and programming PLCs kind of stuff, look at Eclipse 40ac. If you somehow want to tinker and play with electric vehicles, which I think a few of you are planning on doing, if I remember correctly, the applications Rise V2G might prove helpful. Eclipse Milo for OPC UA, that kind of stuff. So I don't think, the point in today's presentation is certainly not to go through all the projects, right? But there, hopefully, you can quickly learn more about what's available for security, what's available for helping you guys build gateways, etc. And for all those projects, you are essentially just one click away of their respective websites. And typically, you would find on a project's website a getting started guide, right? And getting started with beware, you have a nice tutorial on how to start with the project. You have access to the wiki, maybe with even more documentation, and community-wise, most projects, well, at least that's actually all the projects, they typically have either a forum or a mailing list where you can engage, right? So if you get stuck somewhere, just reach out, right? So if you have like super specific questions, like very developer-oriented questions related to, for example, Eclipse Core, just go to the mailing list. If you have more like general discussion, you don't really know where to start, you don't even have a question, maybe you have just comments or thoughts, go to the forum, right? And so the Eclipse forum would be where maybe first you have a quick look at what's out there, because it's likely that the question you may have or the point you're unclear about might have been discussed in the past, or if it hasn't, just ask, right? So that's essentially how it works in the Eclipse IoT community. All the projects would have communication channels, and please make sure to engage there. Another way to like, if you cannot get help, like maybe at the end of the day you will want to ping and to follow Eclipse IoT on Twitter. So for some reason this opened in a new window, so I will just need to open it here. If you're a Twitter user, you may want to tweet at us at Eclipse IoT, and we would be able to point you to the right forum or to the right place if you're lost. And in general, the Eclipse IoT Twitter handle is also something you may want to leverage when you talk about your project. Make sure to mention the Eclipse IoT account, and or to tweet using the OpenIoT Challenge hashtag, so as we know what you've been doing, and so as others know as well, and kind of follow what you're doing. And just to be clear, why is this important? Well, we think it's a way to give back to the community in terms of, well, you get help from others, and maybe others will get help from you, because you will explain how to do this and that with some piece of hardware and some piece of open source software. So this might be good, but this is actually also a good opportunity for you guys to build your own kind of online reputation, and to make sure that people know that, well, actually you do cool stuff with IoT, and there's several participants to previous OpenIoT challenges who actually got jobs in IoT thanks to the challenge. So make sure to keep that in mind, right? So I think that's it for me, actually. And without further ado, I will, and I should have done this earlier, right? So let me just stop sharing my screen. For some reason, I can't. There we go. So our judges, our participants today, so I'm joined with by Tim from Beach Reactive, by Franco from Eurotech, as well as Dominic from Bosch SI, and of course Roxanne is my co-host as well. And hi Roxanne. So yeah, those guys, who are they? Well, they are our sponsors. So this is because of, and thanks to them that we are able to give you guys nice hardware kits and nice hardware and prizes at the end of the challenge. So thanks to all of them. Actually, we also have Red Hat and Micro EJ as sponsors, but they couldn't join us today. Hopefully they'll be here for the second edition on Thursday. And yeah, I would like to let Team from Beach Reactive start sharing some thoughts about how you can use what Beach Reactive is doing in IoT to build your solution. Some of you guys have already included Beach Reactive as part of your kind of idea, your application. But Tim, hello, and why don't you tell us more about what you guys do and what the participants can do with Beach Reactive stuff?
Thanks, Benjamin. Yeah, I'm Tim from Beach Reactive in Norway, and I'll give you a short introduction what we offer. My screen should be shared now.
Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. Yes, we are a software company from Norway, developing a graphical environment for the Internet of Things. This is probably a very familiar situation for most of us. We tinker with hardware and then things get a bit disorganized. On the hardware side, you can just buy a bunch of boxes and organize your things in those. For the software side, we offer a solution how you can organize your code in neat little boxes. We develop reactive blocks, which is an Eclipse-based development environment for the Internet of Things. In reactive blocks, you can model your applications in a very intuitive way, building on reusable blocks, as you can see here. On the left side, you have a library of blocks you can reuse. Some of them are provided by us. Some of them can be shared by your friends and colleagues. And then you design your applications in a hierarchical fashion. Each block can, again, contain other blocks. You graphically define how these blocks interact, and you develop your application. During the application development, you can always visualize your system. You can see which states your system can be in. You can see what can happen in a certain state. So it's very easy to get an intuitive understanding of your whole system. And at the same time, you get a context-sensitive analysis. So when there's a bug in your system or a design error, the analysis will analyze it for you and give you hints in the direction of what is wrong. In the case I'm showing here, the application is terminated before this individual block is actually shut down. And then you get a warning that you might want to properly shut down that block before terminating your application. Once you designed your application in reactive blocks, it is built into a standard Java project, which again makes use of the Eclipse environment. You can then compile that Java project either into a standalone jar file for standard Java. You can also create OSGI bundles, or especially in this context with Eurotech presenting later, what's interesting as well, you can compile your application into a Cura deployment package and then send your application over to your gateway. Reactive blocks for the challenge. If you're interested, you can just contact Anne, my colleague at BitReactive. We provide, of course, the standard documentation, and we also provide specific tutorials for the Open IoT challenge. These are only available to the participants, so again, you get that information with that professional reactive blocks license. If you have any questions outside of the documentation we provide, you can always contact us via the support line, and we will try to help you and support you in the challenge. That's it from my side. Thank you, Benjamin.
Great, thank you, team. So let's see, Roxanne, do we have any questions for our team yet?
Not yet, but they might trickle in.
Right. There's actually, I might as well answer that right now. A question from Marcos. How can I have the other participants' contacts to start discussions about IoT and help each others out? That's a great question. And what we will be doing in the next few days is actually invite you guys to a Slack channel. So all of you guys will be invited to join the Slack space. And if you want to create a channel where you product or your discussion there, I think that could be helpful. Marcos, I hope that that this goes in the direction of what you had in mind. Yeah, so that's what we will be doing. So next, going in alphabetical order of our sponsors' names, next is Dominic. Dominic from Bosch SI. Dominic is involved in many Eclipse IoT projects, as well as, I'm sure, some Bosch commercial platforms. So Dominic, why don't tell us a few more words about what you guys do at Bosch and how people can leverage what you guys do for the challenge.
Moment. Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yep. Oh, you're good.
Okay. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Dominic. I'm from Bosch Software Innovations. I'm in Germany, and yeah, I'm working on several IoT topics at Bosch, and especially I'm committer of the Eclipse Water project. And yeah, most people, when they hear Bosch, they think of drilling machines, washing machines, or car parts, and so on. Or in short, devices. Bosch has a high interest in connecting these devices. So this is yeah, there's a high motivation in connecting these devices and take the chance to leverage the opportunities that's connected with it. And the strategy that Bosch follows is using open source technology, especially from the Eclipse ecosystem, the IoT ecosystem. Not only use it, but also to contribute and to share the projects that were created in the IoT business to the community, back to the community. And yeah, this is what I want to talk about today, the IoT projects, the Eclipse IoT projects that Bosch is involved in, actively involved in. And yeah, I don't want to go into much detail, but I just want to show how they can be used together, or they may be used together, maybe in the IoT project for the IoT challenge. So yeah, let's start. As I said, there's always devices involved, and we have some devices here, maybe some from the energy sector or from the industry, logistics, or maybe cars, or only simple sensors. Yeah, and we have often we have some kind of gateway that connects the not a key, or that have low range wireless connection. Yeah, and the problem is how this data to our backend application, that's at least in our case, sits in some kind of cloud. And yeah, this backend application wants to use this data, and as a user or some kind of mobile app connected to this application, and is used to monitor or to message. But now, as you can see, there's a big gap in the middle, and there I want to fill in the projects that may be used to fill this gap. Let's start with Leshan, Eclipse Leshan. Which can be used as a kind of a protocol adapter here, which means that the devices talks co-op or lightweight M2M, and let's see, yeah, the Leshan project is implementation of the lightweight M2M specification, and provides a server and a client library. And these small icons below is because the Leshan project is based on Californium's implementation of the CoAP protocol, and Scandium's for the DTLS implementation. It's also where Bosch is actively contributing. And yeah, apart from that, the Leshan project has a nice web UI to get started quickly. So this is a good opportunity to maybe try out this this project. Connect. So now we maybe understand what the devices are talking or what they try to say, but we are not yet at our application. And this is where our Hono project comes into play, which aims to provide a uniform API in both directions. So its target is to an API to receive data from devices, which is called telemetry or events. This is always from the left to the right picture to the back end, or to send commands and receive responses thereof. The whole API is MQP 1.0 based. So we defined on top of the MQP messages, we defined an API, some specific headers, and so on, to talk to your devices, or the devices can forward their telemetry data. And why are we doing this? Yeah, we noticed that in several projects, the backend applications implemented the device protocol, and this is not feasible. If you're doing many projects, then you need some unification here, and the Hono project tries to be this uniform API. Additionally, there's some kind of device registry inside Hono, because which devices exist before you can talk, before the device can talk to the backend. And on top, simple authorization. So who is allowed to publish data on specific addresses? That's what Hono does. And yeah, now you can see in both directions. That's fine, that's good, but we have still more space here. So let's fill it with a Hawkbit. The Hawkbit project is used to update large numbers of gateways or and it does this in a domain-independent way. So you can use it for several scenarios, no matter if it's energy or industry or so on. And you can not only do this, you can do this in a managed way. So you can your update in time, and you can also organize your devices in groups and do rolling updates, and also configure if the update fails, then you can stop the whole update process. And this is all done. The configuration is done in a nice user interface where you can also update, monitor the update process. And yeah, the HTTP API devices talk to the HTTP API if you use it standalone. But in our picture, of course, the Hawkbit uses Hono to talk to the devices. So, and then there's one last project, the Eclipse Water project, which is to describe this using information models, which is an abstract description, which contains the abilities or the capabilities or the attributes that a device has. And this is done in a manufacturer and technology independent way, so you can use it to interoperate projects that have the same domain, talking about the same, and you have a standard way to define the capabilities of the device. The definition of this information models is done in a Eclipse-based UI, where you are supported with code highlighting and so on, easy to use. And once you're done, when your information model is defined, you can push it to a repository and you information models, and from these information models you can generate code. For example, you can generate Java POJOs, or for other languages, and use this description of the device in your real application. So this was one selection of projects where we are involved in, and maybe how you can use them, and yeah, maybe you can try them in your Eclipse IoT Challenge project. So, and happy coding.
Cool. That's a lot of information actually for people who are more like on the server stuff, and I think there's a bunch of proposals actually who are planning on using things like Leshan and Lightweight M2M. So I would hope they will be using some of your stuff. Okay, so I don't see any questions for Dominic right now. Like Roxanne said on the chat, there's actually no reason to be shy. I know many of you guys are actually watching us. It's fine if you don't ask your questions now, but you should also feel free to use the opportunity of having everyone together today. But in the meantime, we're gonna move over to Franco from Eurotech. Eurotech has been very active in IoT at Eclipse for pretty much from day one. Well, literally from day one actually, and has been very active in IoT in general forever. So I think Franco has prepared a few slides and a few pointers for you guys in order to give you all the information you need to use Eurotech or Eurotech open source projects stuff. So without further ado, Franco, welcome.
Yes, thank you, Benjamin. Hi, everybody. Let me show my screen, and let me know if you guys can see the slides.
Yep.
Okay, good. Well, first of all, welcome everybody, and thank you for submitting your projects in the Open IoT Challenge, and for your work, and using the projects that I've seen are very interesting, and there's a very interesting combination of technologies that you guys are using to solve very diverse and really wide spectrum of challenges. So thank you for that. What I would like to give you, it's what says in this slide. It's getting started with two projects in Eclipse, Cura and Capua. So probably you guys know a little bit about Eurotech. Eurotech started many years ago, more than 20 years ago, focusing on the embedded computers and systems, and very soon we realized that we needed an evolution in order to start connecting all these computers and devices. And starting about 2008, we started writing some software, first of all focusing at the gateway level, and we call it Everywhere Software Framework. And it's a framework sitting on top of Java in the OSGI application container that provides several services, and also a complete development environment in order to make your gateway, as we say, intelligent, and start communicating not only from the sensors that you see in this slides from the bottom, but also all the way up to the cloud. Very soon, like 3 years ago, we decided to contribute a major part of the Everywhere Software Framework to one Eclipse project in the IoT working group, that is Cura. And I've seen many of you guys in the project are actually using this technology for your gateways, for your boards, in order to not only connect to the sensors, but also to publish the data to different clients or to the cloud. This year, actually, in October, so really recently, we decided also to open source the other part of our software framework, what we call the IoT integration platform, that actually provides several services at the cloud level and allows you to remotely control and manage thousands of devices that you have in the field, store the data, and many other services in there. Obviously, everything accessible from everywhere, just through a web browser. And this project has been started a couple of months ago with the name of Capua, or Capua, as you prefer. And what I thought of giving you guys is the starting point of these two pieces of technology, starting definitely with Cura. So many of you already know all this, but for people that would like to start using this technology, go to the tutorial. There's a Java tutorial that uses several of these technologies, Cura, the MQTT client, Tahoe, and an implementation of co-op called Californium. There is also some hardware that I've seen you using a Raspberry Pi in several projects. So it uses a Raspberry Pi, some sensors, and some LEDs. And actually, in this project, you can actually not only read the data, but actually control what we say, do actuators in order to change the field. This time is just a little light that gets on and on. But this, I will say, is definitely the starting point. And it's a smart greenhouse project. It uses different part of the technology, and it's explained step by step from the hardware point of view and from the software point of view. So this is definitely, I would suggest, this is a starting point for Cura. If you want to get a little bit more in depth of the technology, understand all the different pieces, definitely go to the Cura documentation. Again, this is the link for the Eclipse GitHub pointer to Cura, and there are many things. How to get started with the typical open source hardware, the Raspberry Pi and the BeagleBone. There's a very interesting Hello World example, how to create an OSGI bundle. Then you can develop on your PC in a full Eclipse integration environment, integrated with the Eclipse, and then deploy it to your favorite hardware. It also shows you how to use a very interesting sensor that probably you guys, I've seen some of the project using the TI sensor connected with Bluetooth low energy. So it gives you information how to do that. And also how to connect to an MQTT broker from the device in order to start publishing the data, and much more. So this is the second level, I will say, if you want to start with Cura. And then there are two events that we did, and we regularly do that. So please keep an eye on the different Eclipse conferences and the sessions around the world. This is a very nice application that we developed and we published a few months ago on an EclipseCon. There is the full set of slides in here that explain the application, which is ShootUp Pi. Obviously, a Raspberry Pi, you have a laser pointer with some sensors, and the system, the entire setup reacts to when the laser actually hits the sensor. And again, as you see here, is using the full stack all the way up to Cura, and it uses the MQTT protocol all the way up to WebSockets at the web level to see the values. I will suggest this. There is a very extended set of slides in PDF format that explain, again, step by step, how to set up this project. Now, this project here, in collaboration with Red Hat, was what we also call like a hackathon, right? An evening, 2-3 hours, in which there are dozens and dozens of developers that they are given some starting point. In this case, it was a Eurotech gateway, some sensors, and putting all together. In this case, you also have the starting point on the code. So there are two pieces: is the game itself, in order to connect all the pieces together, and also the scoreboard, in order to see actually if you're working or playing with other users, you can have a scoreboard with many users all together. That's a very interesting example. And you can see the code in there. You can download it. Everything is here is open source. In case you want something additional to Cura, for example, you want extended diagnostic, you want some advanced security, what you could do is also downloading the Eurotech product that is called Everywhere Software Framework. Now, one important point, we don't have two versions of the code. Everywhere Software Framework is based on Eclipse Cura. It's the same code shared by the two versions, right? So here is the download of the software. You can go in this website and download the entire product. There's also documentation, pretty extensive documentation on the extended features that you see here listed. And just the last slide, if you are also interested to controlling the entire environment from the cloud, obviously we just contributed to the Capua project. Here's the Eclipse page starting point of the Capua project. But also, if you don't have time just to set up an entire cloud environment, and you would like to provision and see the data and manage your device remotely using the cloud, one thing that you could do, and we've seen this applied and used in many different projects or challenges or even hackathons, just get a sandbox account in Everywhere Cloud, which is it's up and running. We have hundreds of users using it. And you will immediately register and see your device and see all the topics of the data being published to the cloud, obviously accessible from everywhere. And as the last point, remember there are a lot of slides available. This is the link to SlideShare. My name, Franco. I'm with Eurotech, based here in Boston. And thank you. And Benjamin, I will pass to you.
Thank you. That was lots of very useful information. So I hope people will be looking at some of those pointers. You're very right that there's lots of literature, well, especially around Cura and hopefully around Capua soon, but that's actually the same for many other Eclipse projects. So Google is your friend for sure. To all of you guys participating to the challenge, there's a question actually which I think is mostly targeted to you, Franco, but we can probably all comment on that. I want to use PubNub cloud messaging services instead of MQTT. Well, I think PubNub is actually also supporting MQTT. Is it bad for the challenge? Franco, would you mind if people use other clouds than Eurotech? And or what do you think, what would be a reason for using your cloud versus other platforms that are out there?
Right. First of all, it's from clients in the production environment, we have similar requests. I'm using a different protocol. I'm using a different cloud. What we did in one of the latest releases of Cura, it's already available, is that your single gateway can actually connect using either MQTT or different protocols to different clouds. So absolutely, this is a request that we already seen from several clients, and it's already implemented. It comes from several reasons, not only for technical different choices of communication, but especially for things like data privacy. For example, if you are in some industrial environments, like say either a power reactor or something like that, you don't want some data to be in cloud that you don't want to control. So you either want to have your own cloud on premise, or you want to have a different setup. So in this case, Cura allows you to register more different clouds and publish different data to different clouds. So for example, using the Eurotech cloud just to do device management, having another instance of a different cloud in order to publish and store the data. So this is a quite common environment. I will say, yes, we are already supporting one, and you can add different protocols for with different contributions as well.
Yep, that's a very clear answer. Actually, I hope this helps. I wouldn't risk pronouncing the name of the guy asking the question. But yeah, that's very helpful. Are there other questions? I think we're actually reaching the end of the hour. Roxanne, do we have anyone else?
No other questions right now.
Okay, so well, in any case, the good thing with the internet and with YouTube is that you can comment anytime. So we will make sure to monitor what questions you guys might be posting on the YouTube video, and we'll answer them and forward them to the judges and the sponsors if need be. I would also like to quickly remind, and maybe I will briefly share my screen here. I was mentioning just earlier that we would create a Slack channel for the Open IoT Challenge. We actually just did while we were talking. So you should all have received an invitation to join the Open IoT Challenge Slack channel, which is accessible from openiotchallenge.slack.com. If you haven't, or if you would like to get invited, maybe you are not necessarily participating to the challenge, but you would like to be part of the conversations, just let us know. We'll be happy to invite you. To our judges and sponsors, we will be inviting you shortly as well. This is really just something we've put together during the last minutes, but it's great to see already a dozen of people joining, so that's great. I hope this will help get some nice conversations going. You guys can share links, get help from other participants, get help from me, from Roxanne, from all the other judges and project leaders. So yeah, I will be looking forward to what comes up out of this Slack channel. And without unless there's other questions, Roxanne?
There is a question. Regarding security for IoT, do you have any tips?
Can you repeat the question, or is this on the... Okay, so that's from Desiree. Okay, security for IoT tips. So there's good, maybe I'll give it a stab, and other people on the Hangouts will have comments. There's a bunch of very useful libraries to kind of secure your communication channels, like whether you use MQTT or CoAP or lightweight M2M. You can basically do good old SSL, if you will. So like whether you use Paho or Mosquito, or you use for CoAP, actually that wouldn't be SSL or TLS, it would rather be DTLS, but there's actually good solutions for doing certificate-based authentication of the client, the servers, and you can find some good literature out there. What I would hope some of you guys would be working on, and the areas that you guys could explore, is how to make sure that security is not only addressed at the kind of like the communication layer, but as well as what are the implications in terms of hardware, and how do you make sure that the devices that you build cannot be easily tampered with, that the code that they run runs in sort of a trusted environment, and someone, even if someone were to try and flash a new application onto the device, well, it would still, or it wouldn't allow the device to communicate with your cloud, because you would know that the software is not trusted very much. So there's, yeah, you should certainly look at like at Eclipse, the implementations of MQTT and CoAP. They all support authentication and security at the messaging layer, the transport layer. But there's yeah, there's certainly more to do. So guys, do you have more thoughts on security, and what areas would you like people to explore, or technology?
So yes, Benjamin, you address major points in the security, and as you said, there are different levels on how to secure all that. First of all, you start on the identity, right? You need to be sure that if you are publishing data to the cloud, you know the identity of the broker you are talking to. On the other side, from the cloud, you need to know that the devices that you are talking to are those that are actually identified. So there's a mutual authentication that is going on in there. As you said, another the following step is to secure the messages going in and out. And also having, as you said, a trusted runtime environment where the in the case of Cura, if you download a bundle, you know that the bundle is signed and actually comes from a trusted environment. All these different pieces need to be in place. Obviously, one of the challenges nowadays is to have, if you have not just simple devices, but you start having smart devices, and smart devices connecting to a network, the same problems of security apply also at that level, at the device level, because all the exchanges in the messages and the different devices that now are smarter, they will need to have a precise ID and have the security applied over there. So every time we have a different layer in the architecture, the same concept that Benjamin, you introduced, they need to be applied. That is something that we need to always remember.
Yep. Dominic and Tim, did you have further comments?
No, no further comments from my side.
No, I think the major points were mentioned already.
Okay. Okay, so I hope this helps you, Desiree. So I think that's it, right, for today. We will be back, hopefully, if we can line up our sponsors and judges again, we will be back sometime on Thursday. So stay tuned for that. We'll have one more way to communicate with you guys now. That's the Slack channel. But in any case, as you've noticed, we are also emailing you with any news we may have. So looking forward to seeing what you guys will be building. As a reminder, it would be great. Well, it's actually very important for you guys to communicate about what you do. So sometime during the next few days, the next few weeks, maybe during the holiday break at the end of the month, you will post a first article or blog post or video introducing your project. That's really important to do so, so as others know what you're working on, and so as you can get even maybe more help from the community. So please make sure to do that, and we'll be and let us know. We'll be also promoting that. And yeah, with that, thanks again to Team Franco and Dominic, as well as Roxanne, for helping me running the show today. We'll be back in a few days, and we'll stay in touch on the Slack channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks all.
Thank you. Bye.